Welcome to today's episode of Sassy Detectives. We're your hosts,
Tori.
and Rae. We are here to talk about anything and everything Nancy Drew, and today we'll be talking about Midnight in Salem. Roll the intro.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween!
I think at least this episode is very fitting for Halloween.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely super fitting.
As in, it's terrifying how bad this game is.
Listen. This is not my least favorite in the series. I will say
it's not my least favorite either.
It's down there. It is down there, but it is. I have so many feelings about this game. I have so much to say. I don't even know if I'm going to say everything today.
Do you have any precursors or disclaimers, or do you want to just dive in? We'll walk through the game and we'll express thoughts as we go.
I'm actually a fan of the story. I guess. I don't know. Okay.
What story?
No, listen. I will defend the story of this game, okay? I will defend it. But should we do a little background into why Midnight in Salem is so divisive other than the game itself? Cuz
in its development?
Yeah, cuz that history is a lot.
Yeah, so it was a 4.5 year period between Sea of Darkness and Midnight in Salem. It was the first time that Her Interactive decided that they were going to switch engines completely and go to Unity. And it was also the first game that was primarily outsourced. So
say hi to Sunny. He says hi.
Hi, Sunny. So all of those things, plus the fact that the release date was announced and pushed and announced and pushed and announced and pushed 4 times, if I remember correctly. And then a lot of radio silence. It was kind of the start of the era where Nancy Drew fans went from being really used to having open communication with Her Interactive as a company to a big shift in that, which was a lot of non-answers and sort of lack of communication or really slow turnaround to emails and things like that. So it was just a big shift in, I guess, the company and the fandom as a whole. The dynamic changed a lot during this development here.
Yeah, it was a lot. And I remember playing it and being well, I like it better than the Haunted Carousel and Ransom of the Seven Ships, at least.
Yeah. I like it better than Ransom, Kapu Cave.
I like Kapu Cave because it feels like it's a fever dream, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's the only reason I like it.
Gotcha. Those are the 2 games that I think are worse than this one.
Yeah.
And at least the Hardy Boys look fine in this game.
Oh yeah, I like the character designs in this. Although some of them are more simple than others. Although, you can make that argument for almost every game. But they had a lot of really good designs, especially with the Hardy Boys. I also liked Deirdre's design.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I am a Deirdre stan. Everybody stan Deirdre. We love her on this podcast. She is a fun character. Do I condone everything she does? Maybe not. But do I think Deirdre is slay nonetheless? Yes, I do think so.
That's a good summary.
Yeah.
Also, Deirdre jump scares are a big thing in this game.
my god. Okay, so one of the things in this game that they introduced is having somebody tag along with you. Like, if you have ever played like Skyrim or Fallout, you know how you always have like your companions behind
Yeah.
you and stuff following you? Like that's exactly what it is, but you're not used to it with Deirdre and she's just like right there behind you the entire time. And
You'll
I'm
turn
like,
around and it's
ah!
like super zoom of her face, and you're like, "Whoa! Why are you standing that close
Yeah.
to me?"
It's wild. Um yeah, but basically I will say though I am thankful for this game because it did like get me way more into Nancy Drew, like with like the fandom stuff than I was before. Because I needed to find more people to like talk about this game and the other games with. And so then I joined Tumblr, which was only a matter of time till I joined Tumblr, but it was also not very shocking that I joined it for Nancy Drew reasons. Because I'd always been like a lurker on like Pinterest and stuff with Tumblr, and sometimes going onto like different blogs and just like look at them. But then this game was like, okay, I need more Nancy Drew content because it's been like almost 5 years. I need the memes and stuff, and so I got onto Tumblr because I was like, I can't be the only one going insane right now because it's during COVID and we just got one Nancy Drew game and we don't have anything else.
Yeah.
So I will say it came out at like the worst time because right after Midnight in Salem we had COVID, which was fun.
I would say that, like,
Yeah.
it was around that time, too, like, the period between Sea of Darkness and Midnight in Salem, that I became more active in the online community as well. But for me, it was mostly on Twitch. So while I was just waiting around for another game, I started streaming
Yeah.
Nancy Drew and found my little pocket of Nancy Drew fans on Twitch. And I mean, I'd been on the Nancy Drew message boards for like years. So I guess
Too, but I was again a lurker. I never said anything. I just read everything. And
I
sometimes
don't know if you ever saw on the message boards like the signature shops, but I had one of those. I was making signatures in like HTML.
Oh my gosh!
On the message board.
Iconic.
I'll
Oh
be
my gosh.
okay if anybody is listening and can figure out what my username was on the message boards. I'll be thoroughly impressed by your sleuthing. So let me know.
You're gonna have to tell me afterwards.
I will. But this period specifically was when I got really active in the Twitch community, and when I started going to all the Her Interactive streams when they were streaming on Twitch, and they made me a mod. So that was cool. But so I used to moderate their streams or their stream chats, but now they don't stream on Twitch anymore. So I think I'm still technically a mod in that channel. They just haven't streamed in years.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say, not to out myself as a K-pop stan for the millionth time on here, but so I will say one thing is like after seeing how insane the Nancy Drew fandom went after having no content for ages, I now I kind of understand why Blink's Blackpink fans are the way that they are.
True. But also, YG, give Blackpink another album, please.
Oh, I'm glad they're kind of free of YG at the moment, because I've been loving their solo stuff away from YG.
Yeah, the solo stuff
like
has been
they
fun.
can finally make their own stuff.
But anyway, this is a Nancy Drew podcast.
I genuinely feel like, wow, see, you go insane when you don't have anything else.
It's true. It's true. And like, I think like as a whole, fandoms are like, we have to, if we're not going to get content delivered to us, we're going to make our own. And there was a whole lot of creativity that came out in this period.
Oh my gosh, yes. Especially since so many of us were like at home because it was during COVID.
Yep.
So it's like, you give us no new content. We have nothing else to do because we're stuck at home. And it was quite the era. We had a lot of like podcasts start, little like a ton of Discord servers and little other communities. I remember making so many memes. Like I would post like almost every single day a new meme, which got tired, and so I just stopped posting.
Yeah.
Started just saying random stuff on my blog. Then I did this, and Instagram and stuff. But yeah, just all that with having mid as your last thing before going into lockdown.
Yeah.
Oh, I am so sorry, fellow Nancy Drew fans. I have an entire thing of notes that are, well, I was really tired when I wrote these, so most of them are misspelled, but we'll go through them anyway. We're, opening up with a little cutscene of Nancy writing a letter, and I think it's to Ned. Is she writing a letter to Ned, or is it just, like, a monologue? I don't know. I don't
actually
care.
do not
But
recall.
it's about how... What?
I actually do not recall.
Yeah, but she's talking about how Carson is sending her to Austria, to Mosheim Castle, to get a thing called the Book of Apologies, because he says his lawyer friend in Salem needs it. And so Nancy goes there, and this is like the lamest castle thing ever, because you get to go into like one room.
Yep, one room.
And
one
that's
dirty,
it.
cluttery room.
And you don't even get to see anything else. You just get to live for one thing, and then you're gone.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't even get to see the other person who's Nancy's talking to, because she won't go into the room, but we all know that it's because they couldn't animate her. They couldn't afford to animate another character or something. But she's like, oh no, I'm not going in there, it's haunted, so I'm not gonna go in there and stuff. And it's so lame, and, but I will say something, Nancy really cooked when she said that the Bible is often misused for its own gain, and I was like, yes, Nancy, pop off queen. You go girl, slay. But then, like, she drops a banger line, and then there's this lame puzzle, and it's like a little maze puzzle, but it's not even a maze. It's like 2 things, and then you're done.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's because
it's just so
Midnight in Salem has no real puzzles.
No, it does have a really fun minigame, but I'll mention that later.
Yeah, they do have some minigames, but they actually don't. I don't think Midnight Salem. Well, they have some puzzles, but I don't think any of them are very good.
Yeah, the puzzles not that great. But so then Nancy goes out into the courtyard for a tad without bringing the book with her for some reason. And she's on the phone with Deirdre, and Deirdre's like, hey, Nancy, can you actually come to Salem? Because I need a detective who's better than me, and I don't want to admit that, so you'd better get your butt down here. And Nancy's like, hold on, I was gonna be there anyway, big coinky-dink, I guess, but there's somebody in the castle room, and I have to go back and get the book. And so she goes back and get the book, and there's this hooded figure in there, and what they do is they grab the book, and then they throw something down, and there's like a plume of like blue smoke, and Nancy's like, oh no, what's happening? And so she goes and she chases down this person through the woods, because we don't even, we ignore the fact that the castle even exists, I guess. Like, if you're gonna have a castle in a game, commit to it, okay?
Yes.
Give us the castle. Don't
we
just,
want castles.
like, oh, there's a castle. Yeah, just casually. No, give me an entire castle, okay? I don't care. Anyway, so she tracks the hooded figure down, and by hooded, I mean, it's like a jeans and a hoodie. Yeah. Not like a cloak with a hood. That would have been way cooler. But no, it's just a regular jeans and a hoodie, and then Nancy tracks them down, and then they do the blue smoke thing again, and they disappear, but they left behind a canister, which was the blue smoke thing, and also a plane ticket to Austria.
No, to Boston.
Or was it a plane ticket? To Boston!
Yep. And a key. There's a key there, too.
And a key. Yeah, and a key. Nancy's like, huh.
Let me talk real quick before we move on to the bulk of the mystery, since this is like the intro tutorial bit or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I also don't love Midnight in Salem because I have a pretty decent laptop.
Yeah.
And my
Sorry,
laptop...
my sister just got home. Say hi, Lexi. Could you hear her?
No.
Okay, Lexi, say hi into the microphone.
Hello.
Hello.
But anyway, continue.
So, one thing I don't like about Midnight in Salem is the fact that in order to play it so that it does not chug and lag, I have to move all of the settings down quite a bit. And, like, I don't have, like, a junk laptop. I don't have, like, a beefy desktop, but I don't have, like, a junk laptop. I would say I have a pretty run-of-the-mill, like, laptop for somebody that casually games. And I can't play this game on full settings. And exactly where I figured out that I can't is this scene where Nancy's kind of, like, chasing this figure. And it was so chuggy and so laggy. It was really, really disappointing that I have to play it on a very, very low resolution. And then when I play it on the low resolution just so it'll move smoothly, then I can't actually read any of the text, which is really disappointing.
Yeah,
so,
it's just...
Just throwing that out there as another problem about this game.
Well, anyway, we get past that part. That sucks. And then it, like... You know, we have Nancy calls Deirdre back, or Deirdre calls Nancy again, or something. And then we skip to basically Nancy in Salem in Deirdre's car as they're driving along the roads to get to Salem. And so Deirdre talks to Nancy about how, oh yeah, there's a house on fire and stuff, and people think May, my cousin, set it on fire. But I don't think she did, because just because a kid set something on fire when they were a kid doesn't mean they're going to continue to do that, but nobody else in town thinks like I do, and stuff like that. And she says that nobody was hurt in the fire, but the house was almost basically destroyed, so sad. But she also says that the house is haunted, and Nancy's like, ooh, that's definitely not real, haha, because no haunting in Nancy Drew is ever real. Deirdre, so she told Nancy that the house is haunted, and then they get to the Hathorn house, not the Hathorn house, the
Perry house.
Perry house, and Nancy finds, like, this leopard print lighter outside. Yeah, I don't know. But the parents aren't home. They're in, like, some kind of vacation thing, which is a terrible thing to do when your daughter is being accused of arson.
Yeah.
But they were out of town when it happened. You know,
I just feel like that's something I would come home for if I was that parent.
Yeah.
You know?
Me too. So then you can meet Tegan, who is the older sister, the one that isn't being accused of arson, and she works at the Salem Museum, which is about, like, a bunch of witchy stuff, and she's basically, like, the nerdy older sister compared to the younger, wild child, artsy, emo sister. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, kind of like me and my sister, except I'm a tad more unhinged than Tegan, I guess. What?
What did you compare me to?
May. Lexi just asked me, who did you compare me to? And I said May, and that's not a bad thing. She's
May Perry.
Cool.
She is cool. But what were the descriptors you
The descriptors I used for May, my child, are, like, edgy, artsy, and emo.
Yes.
Which...
Little less emo.
You kind of are. Anyway.
Actually, no, I take it back.
So you can go and talk to May, and she doesn't want to talk. She's just like, okay, fine. Oh my god, leave me alone. Which, honestly, she is completely in her rights to tell
I also
everybody
think it's
to
really
leave her
weird,
alone.
though. I actually think that May has a pretty regular reaction to how somebody would if a person you don't know has now come into your house and is trying to get you to, like, open up to them. I'd be like, who are you? Why is this any of your business?
Especially when it's somebody you don't know, and you're being accused of arson for the second time in your life.
Yeah.
And you are still a minor.
Yeah.
It's like, you're already an angry teenager, and people are like, hey, let's talk about how you committed arson. And she's like, can you please leave me alone? Like, Lexi just said, accused of arson, and shoved Sunny at me. Anyway, so yeah, she's rightfully upset. But another thing that happens is that you can go and like go up to May's door to her bedroom, but you can't snoop in it because Nancy's like, I should respect her boundaries or something like that. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, since when? Since when have you respected
Who even are
boundaries,
you?
Nancy?
You're the boundary breaker if I ever did see one.
Absolutely. So after we don't talk to May, well, we do talk to her, but we don't really. We can go downtown with Nancy and Deirdre. With Nancy, well, we are Nancy. As Nancy, we can go downtown with Deirdre, and there's a bunch of like protesters and stuff. There's also like tourists. It's a really weird scene. But then you can go onto this like stage, or you can watch a stage, and you see this weird witchy lady. Her name is Olivia Ravencroft, and she's doing like this speech about witches and stuff. And then at the end, she does a blue smoke trick, and Nancy's like, oh, "That's what I saw." And then you can like talk about her, and you can find out that she was friends with Tegan and Lauren back in the day, and Lauren is another character that we'll talk about. And then we can go into the courthouse, because one of the things we're supposed to do is we're supposed to talk to Judge Danforth, who was the original person who was supposed to get the Book of Apologies, but Nancy kind of lost it because somebody stole it. But she goes in there to like goes into the courthouse to talk around and stuff, and so you can meet Alicia Cole, who is a lawyer who works with Judge Danforth and stuff. And then to go to talk to Judge Danforth, you go to his office, and he won't open the door for you. But the reason why isn't because he doesn't want to let you in, it's because he locked himself in his office. This man should be disbarred.
Also, this seems like a security issue. If you can
Oh my
lock
gosh.
yourself into a room at the courthouse, doesn't that seem like that could be problematic?
No, like a million times in this game, he just proves to be an issue over and over again. And I'm just like, listen, you are less useful than the judge in Ace Attorney, okay? And that's saying a lot.
You know the like popular like TikTok / Instagram reel audio when it's like, you shaped like a baked bean. I feel like Judge Danforth is shaped like a baked bean.
You're built like a baked bean, baked
Baked bean. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I hate him because he's just so bad at his job. But so Nancy has to break into his office for him, and then, like, then you can also tell him that somebody broke into the evidence room, because, wait, no, that's a different thing.
Yeah, I think that's later.
Yeah. But so Nancy talks to him about, like, May and everything, and he's like, yeah, obviously she did it because she did it when she was a kid, you know? Once an arsonist, always arsonist. She's obviously going to do it again, and so we don't even need, like, an actual courtroom trial. Everybody thinks she did it, so she did it. And Nancy's like, girl, are you kidding me? This is a terrible way to do court stuff, which I agree. And he's
I
also,
just think
so this is
the
when he tells
argument
Nancy,
of everybody thinks she did it, so obviously she did it, is the worst, like, example of any sort of judicial system ever.
like, Ace Attorney taught you nothing? By the way, Nancy, your fans, please play Ace Attorney. Anyway.
Yeah, like, where's the due process?
Anyway, so he tells Nancy Deirdre that somebody broke into the evidence room, and so, you know, that's an issue, and then stuff was stolen. And then there's, like, and then you can mention, like, how there's a bunch of protesters, and they're all protesting because May hasn't, like, been arrested yet, because, you know, there hasn't been, like, a whole legal process yet, even though everybody thinks she's done it and everything. But one of the funniest things is that there is a tourist that you can click on in this, and she says, why are there protesters in a small town like this? And I love it.
It also sounds like she recorded it in, like, the world's emptiest room with
a webcam computer thing.
and like a sock in her mouth.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what happened to this audio?
So after that, you can go around and do like the witch facts ghost tour thing. In the cemetery, you get a little like iPad thing from the museum, and you can go around the cemetery and find cool facts. I am surprised not many of these iPads have been stolen. But anyway, because I just feel like giving people iPads to go outside and do stuff with them.
I know,
Is a
you're
little
never
bit
going to get
risky.
those back.
Yeah, like Nancy is the only person bringing those back on.
You'd have to put like a paint bomb on it, and then tell people like, if you leave the proximity of the town square, it will explode on you.
Oh, that's funny though. See tourists being like, "Oh, I could get a free iPad," and then they're covered in like yellow paint or something. Anyway, so now you can eventually like go to the actual house, the Hathorn house, and Nancy isn't actually able to like go into the house. She just like goes around it, and the entire time there's like spooky stuff happening around, and also
There's like a light in the upstairs window or whatever.
Yeah, and she finds that light too in the upstairs window, and she's like, "Oh, that's spooky." Spooky. I was gonna say freaky and spooky. That's not a word. But
That's
she But anyway,
Fruity.
the Hardy Boys call her. What?
I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So the Hardy Boys call her, and they're like, "Hey, Nancy, what's up? What's happening?" And she's like, "I'm getting haunted." And they're like, "Cool beans, bro." And Frank is like, "Cool mystery," and Joe's like, "Cool ghost," because Joe was all into like, "Yeah, ghosts are definitely real," and Frank is like, "No, they're not." And I'm just saying that this kind of did happen in like the heyday of BuzzFeed Unsolved, and I'm telling you right now to everybody who knows BuzzFeed Unsolved, Joe would have been a Bugara and Frank would be a Shaniac if the Watcher didn't fall. Long story, but anyway, I love their dynamic. But anyway, so they hang up and everything, where Nancy hangs up. I don't know, the phone call ends, and then Nancy runs into Lauren Holt outside the house, and she's like, "Girl, what are you doing in my house?" Or not in my house, but like right outside my house. And Nancy's like, I was investigating, obviously." And then she brings Nancy inside the other part of the house that didn't burn down, like another part of the house, I don't know. And then she makes Nancy some tea. There's a lot of tea in this game.
So,
and,
do you think, on the note of Lauren, do you think that Lauren's fingers are freakishly long like I do?
I need to like look it up.
Because I think her fingers look so long all the time, especially when she's got like her hand around a mug when you're talking to her, and it's like, why are your fingers so long? Yeah, because like I didn't see, you tend to notice weird things about the characters. Sorry.
For example, Pua and Creature of Kapu Cave, her teeth not moving or something.
Sorry, I can't unsee.
Yeah, and
Pua's
no,
teeth
I can't,
don't move.
and it's your fault.
I'm sorry.
I am forever cursed.
Sorry.
I'm trying to find Midnight in Salem.
Oh, that's a really good jingle. I like it.
Have you seen the TV show? No, you haven't seen Psych, but there's just one part in one episode where Sean creates jingles for no reason, and they're all like really bad, and I love them, but it's kind of giving that. Where is Lauren's? Oh, okay, no, there we go. Okay, now I'm looking. Okay, I'm trying to find her fingers. Oh, she does have weirdly long fingers.
They're like triple the length of her palm.
Those are some piano player fingers. Those are some like musician fingers. I'm thinking of Draco Malfoy fan fiction that got its way into traditional publishing. Okay,
Oh.
I'm gonna ignore that now. Um,
Anyway, you can continue. So we've met Lauren.
so we meet Lauren, and she tells Nancy about how Frances Tuttle was her godmother or something. I don't know. Frances Tuttle was like her mom figure, and she lived with her, and she was basically like her caretaker and stuff, and how she died a while ago before before the house fire, and then she didn't have a will, which she thought was like weird because she said she was going to leave her in the well, but she can't find it. But anyway, so Nancy goes outside and starts to leave, and then gets spooky haunted, and it's really freaky. Spooky haunted, and then she goes back to the house, and then is this when they have the really weird cutscene, the freaky jump scare, or is that later?
I can't remember if it's the start of day 2 or the start of day 3.
I think it's the start of day 3. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
But
so.
anyway, it is now day 2 of the game, and so the thing is, so the Hardy Boys did make it to Salem, but Joe decided he wanted to make breakfast, and you should never let Joe make breakfast, because he cringe fails at it. He's a loser boy when it comes to breakfast.
It is canonically proven that Joe can't cook, which is why you have to play as Frank in Last Train to Blooming Canyon.
Yep. And this is one of the many scenes that solidifies the headcanon that I have that Joe Hardy is ADHD, because nobody except somebody who is ADHD would make that recipe. If Lexi were in the room, I would ask her, like, do you agree Joe Hardy has ADHD? Lexi, do you agree that Joe Hardy has ADHD? She's nodding vigorously.
Okay.
But yes, so Nancy has to take over for him, and the recipe is insane. Yeah, and then you can just talk to Nancy. I mean, not
Have you
Nancy.
ever made
what?
Johnny
You can talk
cakes?
Yeah, the Johnny cakes and stuff.
Have you ever made them in real life?
No, but I want to because they sound yummy.
They are. They're basically just like really dense pancakes.
Ooh, I do
Yeah.
like pancakes. And dense sometimes is nice. But then after that, you can talk to the Hardy Boys and to Deirdre, and you can talk about how we're going around town. We're gonna like find clues, and so you can talk to Olivia at her little witch shop, which is up in the side of the museum. And she's annoying. I don't like her. She's annoying. She reminds me of too many people I knew in high school. Like no offense to her, it's just like she annoys me sometimes. And then you can talk to Lauren, or you don't talk to Lauren yet, but then you can talk to Alicia, and she is Lauren's lawyer when it happens, when it's like because Lauren's trying to keep the property from the city and from the city to be her own, but it's a really hard thing to do without the will, and so she has Lauren to help her with that. I mean, so Lauren has Alicia to help her with that. And then outside of the courthouse, we can meet Jason Danforth, who is the teenage son of Judge Danforth. And he's like, you know, your typical rich high school F-boy who's like, hey, everybody, I have great hair and a nice car, and I get all the ladies. And he's annoying and annoying. So then you can go and you can talk to Alicia about Jason, and she is super creepy.
Yeah.
She's super creepy about
Yeah,
Jason.
She's very
It's
creepy
like,
about this
girl!
boy who's like freshly 18.
Like, he's still a high schooler because he's the same age as May, and there's something that we find out in like the end of the game that proves that she is still in high school. So they're both in like their first semester of like high school. So they're probably both still minors and stuff, or like freshly, like as you said, freshly 18. And it's like, girl, you cannot just talk that way about a freshly 18-year-old boy. Like,
It's very problematic. It's very problematic.
no, like, girl, oh my god.
Alicia gives me the ick.
The ick, for real. She's just, oh, like, that is a minor lady. Anyway, so apparently he does, like, a bunch of, like, odd jobs for her and stuff, which is why she makes all these creepy comments about him. But then we can go back to the house, first we can go and talk to Lauren at, Luminous Infusions.
Yeah, her shop.
And, yeah, in her shop. I actually love her shop, and she also has, like, the only good minigame in the entire game, which is this little, like, apothecary mixing herbs game, and I love it so much.
I think it's fine, but I think the better minigame, or what I guess I would consider the best minigame in Midnight in Salem is that you can carve pumpkins and put them on the candles all over town. And I think that's really fun.
I didn't really like that one as much, but I like to mix things because I think it's fun.
Yeah. Like
potion, I was one of those kids who would mix together random ingredients in the shower and make potions. So anyway,
I used to mix chalk dust with water when I was a kid and make bricks.
Potion.
Yeah.
Yeah. What does that mean? Nancy is...
Are you trying to decipher a note of yours?
Oh, yes. Okay, so Nancy goes back to the house and looks for clues. She finds this blue jacket that's, like, bright blue, and I'm like, which character in this game would wear something that's, like, a bright blue jacket? Maybe the person who wears a bright blue dress. The witchy lady, Livia Ravenclaw. Maybe, yeah, Ravencroft.
Her.
And so, yeah. And so Tegan, you can talk to Tegan too, and she gives Nancy an alibi for, like, the time of the fire and everything, which is her boyfriend. And her boyfriend is, like, sus as heck. Because he's like, oh yeah, we were, like, watching a movie. I don't know what movie it was, though. Like, I don't really pay attention. Bye. And I'm like, bro.
He's either suspicious or the biggest himbo ever.
Yeah. Maybe both. Who knows?
Yeah.
So you can go talk to the judge now, and the funniest thing happens is, like, as soon as Nancy gets inside, he asks her, what in Sam heck is a Bitcoin?
That line, I think, is so cringy.
It is so cringe.
It's so cringe, and I think to myself, like, they made that poor man walk into the recording booth and record that line, and then they put it in the game.
Yep.
But then again, we also have Why Are There Protesters in a Small Town Like This from the bottom of a 40-foot abyss.
Oh my god.
So, I don't know.
This game is so unintentionally hilarious.
It is. It's like, if it was like designed to be campy, then they are doing great. But
yeah. So he loses another thing, which is the code to get into the evidence room. And so Nancy has to find it in his room, which she does, and then she goes into the evidence room. She finds out that it was staged because the broken glass was found outside the evidence room in the outdoors area rather than inside, so it couldn't have been a break-in. Somebody just broke the window, and she finds out, like, all the stuff that was stolen was about, like, the house and the accused witches or something like that, which is something that Tegan is, like, in charge of. I don't know. But then Nancy talks to the judge, and he gets to decide the fate of the house, where it goes, like, to the state, or to the accused witches, or to Lauren or something. And you want to know another thing about why this judge should be disbarred? He forgot that there were security cams in the evidence room. It's like, bro, you are literally so stupid. But the security tapes aren't ready for, like, viewing or whatever, so we can't view them yet. But this guy is so incompetent. Like, somebody fire this guy, please. He's bad at his job.
And I don't know if the implication is supposed to be that he's just, like, getting up in age, but, like, if he's getting up in age to the point where like senility is playing a factor, then he needs to learn that like it's time to retire. My man.
Like, my guy, there's an issue here. I really hope you know what it is. But anyway, so then later on, towards the evening, you can go back to the Perry house, and then you see it's all covered in like vandalized stuff, and like, you're a witch! How dare you! Blah 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 blah. And then you can talk to Tegan about it, and she's like, yeah, well, actually, our family, we weren't actually Perry to begin with. We were the Paris family, which is, you know, the first people who, one of the first girls who accused the witches. What was her name? Something Paris?
I don't
Paris.
remember. It was like the daughter of like Samuel Paris or something like that.
Yes, Samuel Paris.
And they were
Reverend
like one of
Samuel
the
Paris.
families like in Salem that were like really accusatory toward like, you know, she's a witch, and like people were dying because of their accusations.
Yeah, so she told a lot of people, like, this Paris girl was like, I think it was Betty, it looks like it was Betty Paris, I think, and also, Abigail something.
That was
Abigail
one
Williams.
of the girls that died though, right?
Yeah, Abigail Williams and Betty Paris? Was that it? Yeah. Abigail Williams and Betty Paris. And those are two girls. And one of those girls happens to be the ancestors of Tegan and not Perry. What? Tegan
May.
and May, which is great. And Tegan feels really guilty about it since she's in the Accused Witches Society thing. Which sucks, I guess. Anyway, at this point you can switch to the Hardy Boys. And they are in the cemetery at night hunting for ghosts. And the puzzle, oh my gosh, you have to like match up the airwaves.
Yeah,
of
the wavelengths.
The recording, the wavelength of the recording device, and I hate it so much.
It's so finicky because when you grab the dial and you try to turn it, it either, for me at least, this is what I experienced, it either doesn't turn at all, and I'm like wildly waving my mouse around, or it's like it goes just like haywire when I barely touch it. And so it's very difficult to like finesse these dials to actually do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, for real. It is quite annoying. But so after you do that, you find this thing where it's like a code thing on a grave. I don't know. And then you can use the code thing to solve this one code piece of paper, and it's like a grocery list. And you find out that it's actually Olivia's, and then she brings the Hardy Boys out to the cemetery again, just for vibes, I guess, because they confront her in her store, and then suddenly they're out in the cemetery drinking tea, and I'm pretty sure she just brought them out there for the vibes, which, honestly, you do you. Okay,
I feel like a lot of what Olivia does is for the vibes.
Yeah, you know
like,
what? I can.
Olivia
I can
is a
get
character that doesn't contribute much of anything to the story
vibes.
except vibes.
Yeah, truly, really, truly, that is her purpose, is vibes.
Which is unfortunate because it's like I do think that the vibes of this game are decent. Like I'm not like putting those down. However, I do think that maybe this is a good time for me to mention it, but like I think that this game suffers from having too many characters and not enough of them really hold the story up. And so I think that's why for me, I think the story feels a little confusing and a little bit like it doesn't have a lot of meat to it. It's almost like the story is spread too thin. So it either goes by really fast, or I feel like you don't have any like super like substantial plot happenings. And part of that is that there's just so many people and they don't hold like a significant enough spot. And Olivia is one of those, I think.
Yeah. It's just...
Anyway, just one of my unfortunate musings.
Yeah, there's a lot of unfortunate musings about this game. So after you are playing as the Hardy Boys and drinking tea in the cemetery, you get haunted by ghosts. Yay! This is also after Olivia admits to fabricating the ghosts in the cemetery and the forest. Because she's like, yeah, it just adds to the vibes, like as usual. But this one, she's actually really freaked out because she didn't make these ghosts, and so she's like, I don't know what's going on.
And also, all three of them say that they saw a different ghost.
Yeah, they all say that they saw a different ghost, because they come back to the Perry house, freaked out and, like, having panic attacks and stuff, all complaining about, like, different stuff, but they all know that they saw a ghost. I'll say something different, though. But then you can go to sleep, and then when you wake up, you have probably the scariest jump scare in the series.
I don't think it's as bad as the spooks in Shadow at the Water's Edge, but I do think it is actually frightening.
Yeah.
This, I have to give it credit. This was a pretty good spook when you wake up on day 3.
Yeah, I was freaked out. I jumped, actually, the first time I played it. But then you can go around to have breakfast with everybody. This time Joe didn't cook, and so the kitchen isn't on fire. They should have investigated Joe for it instead of May, because it's honestly more likely that Joe sits. They're talking about stuff at the breakfast table, and Deirdre suggests maybe we're poisoned with ergot. And Nancy's like, huh, that is really interesting. And so then Nancy and Deirdre go into town to go to the courthouse so they can eventually check the security tapes and stuff. And you can talk to Jason, and he's being, like, really flirty and annoying, and Deirdre is not having any of it. She's just like, back up! Ka-chow! Yeah. Ka-chow! Deirdre just, like, tells him off and stuff, and then Nancy and Deirdre, go to talk to the judge, and Nancy gets a call from Ned or something. She talks to Ned for a bit and kind of, like, blows him off and stuff. And Deirdre's like, girl, you'd better treat your man nice or he's gonna find somebody else. Hopefully
Amen.
me. But it's just like, girl, Deirdre, Deirdre popped off with that. Deirdre cooked,
I do think Deirdre can be annoying sometimes. I like her. I think she's a good character. Yeah. I don't want to... But... I do think she can be a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? She is, what's the word for, like, she, like, starts stuff on purpose. She's an instigator. Deirdre is an instigator. I will fully admit, and that annoys me sometimes. But there is no lie in what she said about Nancy needs to treat Ned right or somebody else will, because Ned deserves better.
Detected. Absolutely. So, and after that, you can go and you can talk to Lauren Holt about stuff. See, most of this game is going and talking to people and not as much exploring, so you just get to talk to people and talk to people and talk to people and talk to people, and it's boring!
Very little exploring, very little puzzles.
Like, if I wanted a visual novel type game, I would have played Ace Attorney, but no, I wanted Nancy Drew. So, you can talk to Lauren.
I feel like there is more looking around in scenes in Ace Attorney than there is in this game.
Yeah, there is. But in this one, so in this, you can talk to Lauren, and she tells Nancy that her ancestor was Tituba, who was one of the first people accused of witchcraft by the two girlies, Elizabeth Parris and Abigail Williams. And Nancy's like, oh, is that why you don't like Tegan? Because she's the Parrises and stuff? And Lauren is like, no, I don't like Tegan. I don't like Tegan not because her ancestors did bad things to my ancestors, but because you want to steal my house for the accused witches, and I want my house, which she is completely right. That is her house. She lived there. She should be able to keep it,
Mm-hmm.
And so later you can go into the, what is it? The evidence room and check the security footage and stuff. Yeah. And basically what you do with that is that you trail the figure that was in the evidence room and stuff. And all I remember, other than like what the puzzle is that there's a security camera in the bathrooms.
I know. Doesn't that seem a little problematic?
I mean, Deirdre just say, "Oh, ew, why is it in there?" Which, like, yes, girl, I completely agree. I think this courthouse needs to be, like, completely investigated.
Also,
because it's like,
I think
there's weird stuff.
Personal opinion, but I think the better use of security footage to tell a story is in 2 games. Stay tuned for danger and The Captive Curse. They do the whole like CCTV footage thing better.
Oh yeah, I do love The Captive Curse with that. Because it's I didn't like this one. But anyway, so you can talk to the Hardy Boys about stuff, and then Joe. I forgot what Frank and Joe are doing. Other than Joe saying, "Digging in a cemetery looks suspicious." That's all I remember from that. Which, yeah.
Yeah.
But then Nancy and Deirdre can go to Lorna Holt's house and they can look in her water supply and they find ergot fungus.
Yep.
Yay! So that checks out. So now they know that they're being poisoned.
Everybody's
have
being
hallucinations.
ergot poisoned.
Yay! So then after that, Tegan calls Nancy and says, "Hi, May disappeared, and we don't know where she is, and I'm scared, and somebody leaked her juvenile record to everybody, and so now everybody can view, like, oh, it's not just rumors, she did get arrested as a kid for arson." And, then she,
May leaves her phone behind, right? And you can go grab it.
Yeah, you can go grab her phone and you can look at it, and it turns out that her alibi, the reason why she wasn't, her reason for not being the one who the fire started, like, her alibi is that she was actually hanging out with Jason Danforth at the time of the fire. So they were just, like, hanging out, being best buds, I guess, because, you know, they're buddies, I guess.
Yep.
Because that's when we find out with this. We're like, why are they texting each other like this? They sound like they're really good friends. Oh, that's why, because they are really good friends. And Tegan is like, yeah, they are. They're kind of besties. At least they were when they were, like, younger and stuff. But then Tegan admits that she was the one who set the Hathorn house on fire because she was looking for the will inside so she could see if she could get the house for the accused witches. But no, she
Tegan
could not
sucks.
find the will, and she knocked over the candle or whatever and set something on fire. Yay!
Tegan sucks.
And then she
literally let the entire town think that your sister had committed arson, and you were too big of a weenie to step up and be like, actually, no, it was me. I made a mistake. Tegan sucks.
Real. I'm like, listen, if I made a mistake like that, I would never let my sister take the fall for it, okay?
Oh my gosh,
she's not
never.
in here right now.
In fact,
but
if my sister committed something like that, I feel like I would be inclined to step up and take blame for it.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't. If she makes a mistake, that's on her.
I mean, yes,
like,
everybody should be held accountable for their
like
mistakes,
this,
but like
kid, you have to handle the consequences, but I would never let her take the blame for something I did.
Yeah, I understand. Same.
But yeah, so like Tegan, girl, what the hell? But then after you talk to Tegan about everything, you can go outside and see that Jason is there with his fancy car, and he's like, "Hi, Nancy, I have to talk to you," and stuff. And so he drives Nancy to town and tells her about how he's best friends with May and everything, and, you know, just tells her about her friendship. When they get to town, she looks in the glove box and finds a plane ticket to Austria in his car, and it's the same date that she was there. And so she looks at that plane ticket and she looks at him and she's like, you were the hooded figure.
Yeah, you took that. You know, Austria. It's like, not, it's, you know, the like meme, the SpongeBob meme, it's like, you like Krabby Patties, don't you, Squidward? I always imagine Nancy's like, You stole that book from me, didn't you? You know what I mean? Like,
I
you stole the book of apologies from me, didn't you, Jason?
And he's what? No, I didn't. And then she's like, yes, you did tell me everything. And so he does tell her everything. He tells her that Alicia, the lady who is a lawyer who has him do odd jobs for her and stuff that she makes really weird comments about, she's the one who put him up to this. And, like, as soon as this was revealed in the story, I was like, okay, one, she is definitely the bad guy, and two, Jason, you were groomed, buddy. Oh, buddy. Ah. I feel so much for Jason, and I want him to be happy and know that, hey, that was creepy and not okay. You deserve better. I am a Jason supporter, okay? Yes, he is an annoying teenager, but that does not mean he doesn't deserve rights. So then Nancy is like, oh.
I feel kind of like, I feel more pity for Jason, especially toward the end of the game.
Yeah.
Like, he's annoying, and, like, sometimes I'm like, please shut up. Like, I just don't even want to talk to you right now. But toward the end of the game, you kind of realize that, like, getting to know, like, Judge Danforth, who is pretty much useless in every way, and then the fact that, like, Alicia is, like, manipulative and really weird toward Jason, and this really weird, like, power dynamic that she has with him, I kind of don't blame him.
Yeah, no, Jason was completely a victim in all of this, like, you know, being, like, basically abandoned by your father emotionally, and being groomed by this creepy lady who has legal power over you. Like, that's gotta be tough for him. But anyway, so he tells Nancy that May has the Book of Apologies now, that he never gave it to his dad or to Alicia or anybody. He gave it to May because he felt like she would be the safest person to have it, and that she has hidden it with herself in the tunnels underneath Salem. And he tells Nancy something about, like, you have to light the way. But anyway, so he tells Nancy that you have to go to the cemetery, you have to light the way or something. Then he leaves, and Deirdre isn't answering her phone, and so Nancy calls the Hardy Boys, and they meet in the cemetery to get under the tunnels. They solve the puzzle where you have to light the lantern in the statue's hand, and then it, like, opens up to have a secret passage. And then Nancy and the Hardys are, like, wandering around the tunnels, and then eventually they have to split up, and so the Hardys split up and go one way, and they find, eventually, Deirdre. Well, they don't really find her, they hear her on the other side of the wall, and then they have to solve a puzzle to get through the wall, and then when they get through the wall, they find her, and she's, like, trapped under a bookcase that fell on top of her, and I'm like, ooh, that's gotta hurt.
Yeah.
And I am very glad that the Hardys helped her out of that, because that would have been bad. But, so they're in this room that is a secret room in the Hathorn house that was not burned. And so she's just looking for stuff, any clues, and they find this puzzle on the floor. And it's with, like, a bunch of, like, seasons and dates and stuff. And so, you solve that, and then after you solve that puzzle, this mini house it's like a miniature Hathorn house thing pops out of the floor, and then it opens up at the top, and there is the will! And it's like, from Francis Tuttle to my dear Lauren, or something like that. So it's like, yeah, we have the will! Huzzah! And in the meantime, we have Nancy and her little journey under the tunnels, finding May. And she eventually does find May, and May is unconscious with a leg injury on the floor of this one place that is her little Heidi place. Her little buddy friend meetup place where she and Jason would hang out after school and stuff. And it has, like, a bunch of, like, their favorite bands and movie posters on the walls, little, like, things of furniture. They have a lot of, like, her art there, because, you know, she's the artsy girl who likes to do art and stuff. And you can also find there this, acceptance letter into Waverly Academy. And it says that she can start during their late fall courses. So like in like November she can go and start taking classes there. Um and she has a full ride scholarship to Waverly with like a modern art specialty or something like that. I don't know. But so Nancy can talk to May about stuff, and I don't remember much. Do you remember much? I don't know. I'm getting fuzzy with my memory about this game.
Yeah, the end is really blurry to me because
It's very fast paced.
it's very fast paced and it's so hard to keep up, and I get really confused about how they tie up a lot of the story like plots. So I don't know.
There's a lot, and most of it is just talking. But basically, we figure that May did not start any of the fires. But she doesn't tell us about the other fire yet. But then you find there's a puzzle container thing that you solve in the Book of Apologies is in there, and then the tunnels start flooding, and so Nancy and May have to get out. And so they're like, "Whoopsie, it's flooding. Let's get out." And then in the meantime, because there's a lot of like flashing between POVs here, so we have Deirdre and the Hardy Boys, and they're outside, and they're talking like, we need to either. So Frank and Joe are like, we need to go in there and save Nancy and May. And Deirdre's like, listen, Nancy and May can handle themselves. I need to get this to the judge so this whole thing doesn't blow over and becomes all for naught. And so then Deirdre goes off and goes to deliver the will to the judge, and the Hardys are like, you know what, let's just go after her. And so they go with her. And then Nancy, so, and I do think it's nice when Deirdre is like, listen, I may not like Nancy, and I think she's annoying and everything, but I do have faith in her to do this, okay?
Yeah.
I know she's gonna do this, you know, I know she can survive this, you know, so then...
I think that's kind of like their dynamic in general, is that like...
Yeah.
And we've talked about this a little bit before, and I think it bears like good repeating, but like with Deirdre's the kind of character that like her entire life has been formed and shaped by her parents constantly comparing her to Nancy, and Deirdre feeling like she wants to be her own person, but she does want to show that she's capable, but knowing that like she's in over her head about this, and Nancy is the person who can do this, and having to put aside like her own ego in order to help her cousin. And I think it's just like a really good testament to the fact that like, as annoying and egotistical as Deirdre can be, when it comes down to something that truly matters, she knows how to step aside.
Yeah, I do really love Deirdre. She is just, like...
She's a very
she's
good
cool
character. I think she's one of the better, like, written recurring characters.
Absolutely. I just love her. But so anyway, May and Nancy make it through the tunnels, and right before they get out, they're in this part where May is like, okay, I know how to get out. I know it's a puzzle, but I can't solve it right now. Blah, blah, blah. And she starts like really badly hallucinating. And it's because she has an open wound on her leg, and you know, with the waters being poisoned and the tunnels being flooded, you know, the ergot poisoning is getting through to her bloodstream, and yoink. Yikes. Big yikes. But then May tells Nancy about the original fire that she got her scar in, because May also has like the huge scar on her face, which is another reason why people think she's suspicious when it comes to fires. And so what happened was, so Tegan, Lauren, and Olivia were best friends as kids, and they would meet with their own little witches' coven and stuff, and they wouldn't let May hang out with them, and May was really mad, so she would like go in and like sneak in and watch them in secret and stuff. And one time she snuck in and they all ran away because they're like, you can't play with us and stuff. And so she was locked inside the shed, and as the girls ran out, they knocked over a candle, and that set the whole shed on fire. And so that's what happened. But she didn't want anybody else to take the blame, so she just took the blame. She didn't know what else to say about it, so that basically ruined her life. Yeah. Poor May.
Poor May.
But eventually they get out and get to the courthouse, And right in the nick of time, they meet Deirdre and the Hardy Boys there, and all together, as a crew of besties, they confront Judge Danforth and Alicia. And everything is happening, I guess. One thing I do love is that Deirdre calls Alicia a perp. She's like, "That's the perp," and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like Deirdre really loves that word. I love her for that though. It's Deirdre. I just love her for most things. So right now, Alicia and Judge Danforth are going over what they're doing with the house, and Nancy and Deirdre is like, "No, we have the will. So we don't have to do that." And then Nancy's like, "So Alicia is behind all this stuff happening except for the fire. Like, she's poisoning people, she's stealing things, she's attempted murdering people and stuff. The grooming of Jason wasn't even mentioned, really, except for Alicia saying, Jason is a grown man. It's like, he's still in high school, bestie."
Yeah.
And if he is a grown man, he is freshly 18, as you said, my friend. And he has been doing odd jobs for her for quite a while now. So it's like, he has been doing odd jobs for you since he was a literal child. And you're like, well, he can make his own decisions. Not with you around, bestie. You're a creepy lady. Anyway, so Nancy, so basically, Alicia is arrested, and she's bad guy and stuff, and she's really mad about being caught, which, obviously, but at least this time she just starts yelling at Nancy instead of, trying to kill people, but she also is in a whole room of a bunch of people. Is this, like, the only Nancy Drew villain where the confrontation is in a room full of people?
I'm scanning through my brain.
Yeah.
I think it might be.
Yeah, because I think all the other ones are, like, they're in... Okay, so we have Secrets Been Killed. Yeah, that's, minimal people, confrontation, label.
There is another person present in Stay Tuned for Danger.
Yeah. In a lot of these, there are, like, maybe another person present.
But not like the whole crew.
Yeah, not like an entire crew of people, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
that's it, really.
Dang, okay. So, that's a new thing with this game.
But also, I'm gonna say, I don't think I really love it, and this is why.
Yeah.
With Nancy Drew games, I think there is an appeal to discovering the culprit and confronting that culprit, and there's always a little bit of danger in that confrontation because you're usually alone one-on-one with that person. And so if they turn around and do something bad or violent toward Nancy, Nancy has to figure out a way to protect herself or outsmart them, or et cetera, et cetera. And I think that level of danger kind of adds a bit of that, like, last second adrenaline rush or spook or whatever it is to the end of a game. And so having Nancy literally just standing in a room with a whole bunch of people and just talking it out, it feels like it just feels like the ending letter almost of the game, instead of like the final, like, danger and outsmarting that you need to do, because there's not really a danger. You're standing in the courthouse accusing somebody in front of witnesses. Like, I don't know. I think it's just a little bit lackluster because there's not like that scary villain moment.
Yeah, and it's just... yeah. It did take out, like, a lot of the adrenaline rush.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's also, like, with, like, the ending puzzles. And, like, the secondary confrontation. I guess there's some games that don't have, like, a secondary confrontation.
Yeah.
Or something. Like, what is it, like, The Secret of the Scarlet Hand? Instead of another confrontation with the villain where they're caught, we have the poetry reading thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what that one is. I still don't know what that is, but at least it's not everybody's there, so it's boring.
Right.
Um,
And then, like,
but
at the end
then-
of Waverly Academy,
yeah.
the culprit tries to escape and is caught and confronted by another character. So
Yeah. Like it's also kind of a humorous catching the villain scene with that one.
yeah,
Which I did appreciate, but with this one it's just like, okay, I guess that happened. But then so the end of the game is here. So Lauren rightfully owns the house, and Nancy basically suggests that her and the accused witches kind of like collab on taking care of it and making like a museum out of like part of it, so it's still just like she can still live there, but it's also like preserving history and stuff. And Jason and May like talk things over, and they're besties again. And he says he's gonna leave to do something somewhere else, but I don't really know. I wasn't paying attention. And then there's like this little party at the end where you can talk to people and stuff. And then at the very end, Nancy walks outside and goes on a tiny little walk and talks to Ned about going on vacation in Austria, which never happens in the games, and we deserved a game with Ned in person. And that's it.
yes,
So,
yep.
yeah.
We wanted Austria with
That's Midnight in
Ned.
Salem. That's Midnight in Salem.
That's Midnight in Salem. The end.
And, like, the story is not the worst. There are significantly worse stories in the Nancy Drew games.
It's not the worst,
Just
but
everything
I kind of mentioned my
combined
issues with it earlier, so I won't
about it.
rehash it too hard.
Yeah. So it's just like the story not being the best combined with the lackluster everything, really, with like the music isn't that great. It does have some good parts that I do like in it, but like a lot of it just doesn't have like the same like vibes as previous games.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also like the bad puzzles and like all the talking. There's way too much
Yeah.
talking. And
I
then
like
the bad
I like a good
gameplay.
exposition. Like I like characters. I'm usually the
Mhm.
kind of person that will explore every dialogue option when I play a Nancy Drew
Mhm,
game.
Yeah.
But the game should be balanced between the conversations, the exploration, and the puzzles. And this game is just so unbalanced.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff about this game that just could have been so much better, but it was just dragged down by so many other negative aspects of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's why I have so many feelings about this game, is that it could have been such a good game if things had just went according to plan.
Yeah.
Because, like, apparently, I think one of the things that happened, was it before Midnight in Salem or before Mystery of the Seven Keys when they lost their angel investor and they didn't have funding really anymore?
You know, that's a good question that I'm not 100% confident about.
Yeah.
I want to
'Cause
say it was before Midnight in Salem, but they were already kind of like through a good bit of the like costs. I'm not 100% sure, so maybe somebody who listens to this could correct us, but
Please.
yeah, I'm not entirely
it's-
sure about that, like when that happened in the timeline.
Yeah, but it's like, I don't think everything is completely her's fault as to why this is a bad game. I think it's just a lot of like really badly timed things that happened to the company. And that just made it just drag on forever and ever and ever and not have any answers for ages.
Yeah.
And it was just like terrible timing, really. And, you know, just it was sad because when I first got The Sea of Darkness and I downloaded it and then I played through it and I got to the teaser at the end for Midnight in Salem, I was so excited. I was like, this is going to be such a good game. Oh my gosh. Salem Witch Trials, spookies. Oh my gosh. And then it turned out to be this game years later.
Mhm.
And, you know, like, on top of all the things that I did like about the game, it just gets completely overshadowed with how much that could have been and should have been done different. And I kind of, not to get all sentimental, but I kind of mourn what this game could have been.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
And a lot of
'Cause,
it too, I think, is kind of drowned in the really, really rough mechanics.
Yeah.
And like everything about navigation and like just like the point and click aspect of the game feels so clunky and unintuitive and not user friendly. And that's
not.
really, really difficult to like kind of get over, especially if you are an existing fan of the series and have gotten used to how the games just navigate and just mechanically play out, and now you're presented with something completely different that does not work smoothly or work the way that it seems like it would be intended to do. And that's really, really, that was a curve to learn that I think distracted from a lot of the like atmosphere and story, for me at least.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a lot of depressing thoughts about this game.
Yeah. So we talked about the plot and the mystery. Do you have any other notes about characters or dialogue?
The dialogue isn't the worst, but I will say the most egregious example of bad dialogue in this is, what in the Sam heck is a Bitcoin? Why are you mentioning Bitcoin and Nancy Drew?
I also, to kind of like echo what I said earlier, I think there are simply too many characters, and they probably could have cut 2 or 3 characters from the cast and still had the same story delivered. They could have just condensed like people's purposes and roles into each other, I think. So I think there are just unfortunately too many characters, but and so much talking,
and
like we said earlier.
There's just so much talking, and they won't shut up. And it's just like, we get it. You can talk. Stop.
How do you feel about the music?
The music is fine. It's either a hit or miss for me, because, like, some of the stuff is, like, way too repetitive, to where, like, if it had more variety, I would have liked it a lot better. But, like, I do say that a lot of the music is pretty good for, you know, what it is. But, like, you know, it wasn't like the old games. And like, that's another gripe that I kind of felt with Mystery of the Seven Keys as well, is that it's a very different style of music than what we're used to.
Yeah.
And then what with most video games that I do play, it just feels, you know, very different. And, well, you know, I've been repeating myself like the music repeats.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think the music, while it's not necessarily bad, it is repetitive. And like, while Nancy Drew music has always looped, that loop is usually very seamless, and I feel like the loop is a little more noticeable in these tracks. I also think it's missing some of the charm and warmth that we got from like Kevin Manthe and Thomas Regan, I think is his name. He did like 26 to 32. Or 31, 32, 30, I don't remember. 32. Sea of Darkness is 32, right?
See, if we don't have Kevin Manthe, how are we going to Kevin Manslay?
You're so
you
right.
Know what I mean?
But their music tracks, they had so much charm and character and warmth to them, and I do think that the music in Midnight Salem and Mystery of the Seven Keys feels like a shadow of that. It feels kind of cold and sterile by comparison, and it just doesn't warm my heart the same way, I guess.
Same. Which is sad, but inevitable as well. So.
Yeah. Puzzles?
Yeah, it just sucks. The puzzles suck!
Yeah, they're bad.
The puzzles are bad! Ugh!
I genuinely feel like most of the puzzles could probably be classified more as mini games, and the ones that can't be classified as mini games are too short,
Lame.
too confusing, mechanically difficult to maneuver, or some such other problem.
They're dumb.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like them.
Me neither.
That's all I have to say about the puzzles, is that they're bad. All of
Thumbs
them.
down. Okay, how about atmosphere and setting?
Oh my gosh, that was one of the only things that this game got right, is the atmosphere.
Yeah.
The atmosphere for this game is so good. I love the spooky setting. I love the ambience. I love the rain. I just, listen, I love me some spookies. I love me some Halloweeny vibes. I love it.
I'm
I love
very
it.
split because I really, really like all of the atmosphere when you're outside. But I think, and I like luminous infusions and the atmosphere in there, but every other indoor location is kind of like meh for me.
Yeah, but I think also the museum and the library in the museum and the witch store also do a good job with interior stuff. But like
Yeah,
the
I
house,
guess.
the Perry house, just it's a house,
Yeah,
I guess, and the courthouse is a courthouse.
right.
I don't know. That's all I can say about it. And the
Yeah.
castle, oh my gosh. If you're going to give us a castle, as I said at the beginning,
It's such a
fully
tease.
commit to it.
I know.
Cowards!
It's literally such a
Cowards!
tease. Like, they could have given us so much more. We could have at least had, like, other rooms to look at or, like, more time in the courtyard to look at. But it was such a tease.
Well, I guess that's all we talked about.
That's what we have.
Yeah.
So,
So, our overall rank.
yeah. You want to go first? Or you want me to?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I'll give it a 3.
Oh. That's better than I thought.
I like the vibes. It has good vibes, and I like the characters, most of them.
Okay. I am giving it a 2.
Give it a 1.
Huh?
I thought you were gonna give it a 1.
Yeah, I give it a 2 because I do like the atmosphere, and I like the Hardys, and I like Deirdre, and I like
Yes,
making
basically same
pumpkins, and I
reason,
like
yeah.
making Johnny cakes, but everything else I can do
else.
without.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't
Oh,
like that I
God.
have to play it in the smallest, tiniest window in order to even play it.
Oh, I played Red Dead Redemption 2. But Red Dead Redemption 2 is actually good.
Yeah, I was gonna say, at least your sacrifice doesn't affect a huge chunk of your enjoyment.
Oh. Well,
That's
I can't wait until we play, like, Ransom of the Seven Ships
Oh,
or
gosh.
something to find something that gets even lower for us.
I will be growling about so many things of Ransom of the Seven
Listen,
Ships.
the 2 saving graces of that game that make it not the worst game ever made is the music slaps
Mm-hmm.
and some of the stuff there looks pretty.
Yeah, I agree.
That's it.
But not everything looks pretty, and we'll talk about that when we get to it.
That game is gonna drive me insane.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so that was our Midnight at Salem episode.
Whee!
Happy Halloween!
Happy Halloween.
We need a better Halloween game.
Yeah. The better
do.
Halloween game is Shadow at the Water's Edge.
Yeah, that game, spooky perfection. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Or Blackmore Manor.
Blackmore Manor, love that one too. Or like Ghost of Thornton Hall.
Yeah. Those are
But
better options for Halloween.
Yeah, those are good, like, spooky ones, but none of them are, like, as Halloween-y as
True.
Midnight in Salem.
True.
But, like, God, they hit the mark so much better than Midnight in Salem did.
Well, that's it.
That's it! That's all for today, folks.
Thank you for listening, and we hope that you have a happy and safe Halloween. And we'll catch you in a couple weeks.
Stay sleuthy and also stay spooky. Ooh.
Bye.
Bye.